Hi all, welcome back to our video interview series. It's with great pleasure actually this afternoon that I get to introduce you to Connar Peters from Peters Cost Consultants. So Connar, welcome.
Hello, how are we doing?
How are you doing today? You good?
Yeah, I'm all good, thank you. Yourself?
Perfect. Yeah, very well, thank you.
Good.
Connar, just give us a little bit of background then. Just introduce us to Peters Cost Consultants.
So Peters Cost Consultants was founded in 2018 by myself, and what my vision was to help subcontractors up and down the UK with freelance quantity surveying and estimating services.
Amazing.
Because there are a lot of subcontractors, smaller ones and medium-sized ones, who don't have the requirement for a full-time surveyor in the office, but there is not a gap in the market, but there is a big requirement for freelance quantity surveyors, which I've found. So that's sort of where we went with that. Yeah, that's it pretty much.
Amazing. So been going since 2018. That means you had to face the world of that awkward time of COVID and the pandemic. So kind of obviously been from the construction industry. How did that affect you? What was the kind of impact that you felt at that time?
So personally, at the time of COVID, I was in university, and when I started the company, I was working full-time for someone else. So there was a bit of an overlap. So in the university, it affected me. So I didn't have to go for the last year. That's how that affected me. But business-wise, it didn't affect us at all, really, because construction kept going. It was like one of the only industries where people could go in, wasn't it, really? So that was that. And like I say, a lot of my stuff is like freelancing, so it just gets sent over to us from contractors all over, for like up and down the UK, and then we sort of do it from home, if you like. So it sort of benefited us, really.
Brilliant. So I guess kind of coming out of that time then, when you'd finished university, pretty fresh into the industry, obviously working part-time, started your business. That kind of leaves you with the last couple of years then. It's like, what's the kind of biggest learning that being in the construction industry, kind of, I guess, post-pandemic then, and coming in fresh from university and having some experience there? What's the kind of one or two biggest learnings you've had in your journey so far?
I would say probably the biggest thing I've learned is that I can't do everything myself. So a lot of the time, it's better to outsource a professional who is going to do a better job than me, because I would rather someone else do it professionally, and then it doesn't tarnish your reputation as a company. So I see a lot of people, they try and do everything themselves, and they can do it, but the job's not necessarily going to be done well. And it's all about repeat business and keeping your clients happy at the end of the day. So
kind of adopting that mindset then, and having that mindset around getting professionals to do it, bringing professionals in. How do you think that's benefited you as an organization? What's the benefit you've seen from that learning and that decision?
So it's just growth, really. So just having different avenues of things to go down, different trades, different businesses to help, and not being limited just to one section of surveying and estimating. You can sort of broaden your horizons. You can do surveying and estimating. I've got surveyors who work for us in people's offices a few days a week, and then we've got surveyors who go out and do the valuations for people. So it's all different, just opens your market, really.
And you felt like kind of that's allowed you to do that? That's brought you more custom, generated more revenue for you from that?
Yeah.
Oh, smashing that. That's great. So if that's the kind of biggest learnings, then what's the biggest issues you say you're facing in the business?
Biggest issues at the moment is when to know to get the office, when to know to do the next thing, sort of thing, because it's all like risk and reward, isn't it? And there's a lot of talks of a recession at the moment. So if there is a recession, am I going to lose business? Is that going to affect us? And then I'm going to have more overheads and people to pay, whereas at the moment I'm outsourcing it. So it's for me to sort of dictate who I'm outsourcing it to, and when. I've not got full-time wages to pay and things like that. So that's probably it, really, at the minute.
Kind of that next step then, the challenge on when to make that next step. What's the impact of that going to be? I guess,
Yeah,
like
exactly
most
that.
business owners, how do you do that and maintain profitability and cash flow, right?
Yeah, yeah, because it's always like, because with what we're doing, it's not contracted. Well, some of it is contracted, but like your tenders and stuff, you do the tender and it will go. That'll be the job done. And then if they're successful, that's when you carry it on to the next phases. But if they're not successful, then it's not continued
Yeah.
business, if that makes sense. So it's like one week you could have, say, 10 tenders come through the door, the next week it could be 5. And it's like there's no consistency as such. So
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, that's it.
So if that's kind of, if you like the challenges and the kind of biggest learnings, why did you start? What was the motivation behind starting your own business? And I guess, is that still your motivation today?
So, well, my motivation to start my own business was probably as when I first started doing surveying, and I was starting doing surveying, and as a surveyor, you sort of see the money that the companies are making, and you see the overall running of the business from a first-hand point of view, and you're working closely with the directors. And I just thought, I can do this. Like, I always thought I could do it. And then I worked under a few directors. Some were really good, some are really bad. I'll say no names, but you sort of pick up on the good things, you pick up on the bad things, and then that gives you sort of what to do and what not to do as a director, and where to go with things. So I just knew I wanted to be on my own at some point, and as I started doing it on the side, it then got more and more, and then the money you're making is more than you're making on your salary, sort of thing. And then you just sort of just veer off into doing it full time.
So what motivates you to keep going then? So you're talking about now, excuse me, the business is growing, you're thinking about taking the office, bringing on full-time employees. What's the point of motivation for you then to grow and scale the business?
So it is my motivation to do it is just purely because I want to be one of the biggest quantity surveying and estimating companies in the UK. It's a very scalable business. I've seen that within the last 2 or 3 years of running it. I've sort of got methods on how to scale it, and it's not limited to the UK. Quantity surveying and estimating is worldwide. So if I wanted to scale it that far at some point and add offices in different countries like America, Australia, it is all possible. Because all the processes and things are the same. So that's my motivation. That's sort of where we want to be with it eventually.
Brilliant. So if you look back on the journey then the last couple of years, what's being a business owner taught you about yourself?
That I thrive on stress. And when I'm not stressed,
I think it's the first time I've had that. That's good.
Not like, it's sort of learning what stress is. So good stress. So when you're too busy, like I thrive off that because it makes me work better, makes me tick over, sort of thing. If I've not got enough on, then I'm a bit like scratching about. Like, so I like to make sure there is enough going on, if that makes sense.
For sure, 100%. So if that's kind of, I guess, then the journey, what motivates you and everything, you kind of alluded a little bit to it a minute ago, but what does the future look like for Peters Cost Consultants? Where's the kind of end goal? What is it you're looking to achieve?
The end goal would be to get to a point where I can sort of take a back seat on it. I'll still be running it, but I'll be putting the business into someone else's control, and I'll be starting up other businesses.
So a really entrepreneurial kind of journey ahead of you.
Yeah, that's what I want to do. I'm into property developing as well at the moment. Looking to get into buy-to-lets and things like that. So just have my fingers in all the pies and just build my portfolio of properties and businesses and just see where it can go, really.
Fantastic. So there's a big journey ahead of you then. Exciting times.
Yeah, it's exciting. And I feel like I can do it. So
brilliant.
Yeah.
So if you would start the business again today, is there anything you'd do differently?
I'd probably have just gone self-employed and done the business full-time earlier, truthfully. Because where there was the crossover, I was working for people 9 to 5, and then I'll come home, get to about 6 o'clock, then I'll be working to it from like 6 till 10. And as you know, 100% of business stuff usually goes on between 9 to 5. People need answers within that time. And I wasn't able to service people to the 100% of our capabilities by doing it part-time. So since we have, it's gone a lot better and grown a lot more, to be honest with you.
So what's the learning there? Like, you would have taken that leap of faith sooner?
Yes, yeah.
Nice.
Not straight away, I mean, but it would have been a lot sooner. But you get comfortable being employed and the consistent money, and that's why I feel that a lot of people don't do their own business, because it's security, isn't it? But
do you feel that's the point that kind of held you back then? So that's the one thing you would change. You feel that's the point that held you back, that security and the fear, I guess, of not having that security and the financial income?
Yeah, I mean, it was a sort of, looking back on it, it's probably because at the time I was buying my first house, so I needed to be employed to have the books to get the house, if that makes sense. So when I look back at it, that's probably more of the reason why. But then I needed that security to be able to do that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you don't know how it's going to go, because it was COVID, and I know I said construction didn't slow down, but no one knew what was going to happen. So yeah.
Brilliant. So I guess really then my final question for you today, if you were to give someone that's looking to start out in their own business one piece of advice, what would that piece of advice be?
I would just say you need to be resilient, so willingness, and be motivated, because it's your own destiny at the end of the day. And what I've learned is, with business, you very much get out of it what you put into it. You put in the hours, you work hard, you should reap the rewards if you're doing it correctly. I'm not saying it's all good all the time, because I'll be lying, but generally you do get out of it what you put into it. So that would be my advice. Just work hard and don't slack.
Fantastic. Look, I really appreciate your time today, Connar. Thank you very much. I think there's some fantastic learnings in there for our listeners and watchers there. So look, thank you ever so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. And I would like to wish you all the best with Peters Cost Consultants moving forward.
All right. Thank you very much. Cheers for that. See you later.
Take care. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye.